Thank you so much for being a part of our study today. We're in Isaiah chapter 65, and we've skipped a number of really good passages. They're kind of hard to understand, but I encourage you to read them. We're kind of pushing through Isaiah because I'm ready to get to Deuteronomy here in a couple of days, and so forgive me for my eagerness. It's just the nature of the beast. All right. So in Isaiah chapter 65, we read, "I'm about to create new heavens and a new earth. The former things shall not be remembered or come to mind, but be glad and rejoice forever in what I'm creating. For I'm about to create Jerusalem as a joy and its people as a delight. I'll rejoice in Jerusalem, delight in my people. And no more shall there be sound of weeping or the cry of distress." And so let me just stop with that, Rudy, and turn to you. And I'm going to have you talk, and I'll make some notes here.
Well, this really, Isaiah's understanding of heaven and earth coming back together is informed by the architecture of the temple and before that, the tabernacle. And Jerusalem, Jesus dies in Jerusalem, he ascends to heaven and says, basically he's coming back this way, and his foot will touch the same spot that he left from, which is in Jerusalem. And really, if you were to look at Jerusalem as a city of the world over the span of time, it really has nothing from a human perspective that makes it so different. I mean, it's a medium-sized to small capital city of a small country. Yet, God's talking about a new heavens and new earth, and Jerusalem will become this iconic thing in the creation. It's where David was shown that the temple would be built. It's where Jesus died. We're giving an image of this coming down from heaven in chapter 21 of Revelation. And it gives you information about maybe not the makeup of the city, but the spiritual makeup of the city, being 12 jewels as the foundation. And those jewels have the apostles' names on them, and above that, the gates of the city, there's one on the east, west, north, and south, and three names of the 12 tribes of Israel are above the gates. So the foundation is from the apostles, and you have to walk under the name of the children of Israel to get into the city. So God is showing us that history is really his story, and his story in man, and there's over thousands of years. This was written 2,700 years ago. There really was not much writing about new heavens and new earth until the last chapters of Revelation. Everybody thought that they would receive a Sabbath rest on the seventh day. So basically, the year 6001 would be 6001 would be the beginning of heaven. But we find from the 20th chapter of Revelation that there's a 1,000-year span in between that, which gives us this 8th day understanding. And even the New Jerusalem becomes a first fruit, of which that's part of the understanding of the 8th day, and that's where I am able to derive what New Jerusalem, new heavens and new earth, because the tabernacle in the Holy of Holies, the Ark of the Covenant, ultimately where the high priest talked to God once a year, it looked like a scene from a royal movie, where you would prostrate yourself at the foot of the king to ask what the king ask a favor from the king. The same thing's true in the Ark of the Covenant. That's Jesus' footstool. So basically, when we see the veil torn, that anybody can look into the Holy of Holies at Jesus' death, it's giving us a way to look into something that was written about 700 years prior to that, which gives us an inkling of what the new heavens, new earth mean to humanity. It's going to be something like the garden, only better, because we get back this relationship with God. And that's what the high priest did. He only went in there once a year, and when he went in, he was completely unrobed. He sprinkled blood on the Ark of the Covenant, or he couldn't be in there. And the whole tabernacle in front had to be cleansed before he ever did that as well. So there's a lot of seemingly work to be done, but really it's a golden thread back to the spirituality that ultimately, if you, between your ears and your universe, decide, come to the conclusion that Jesus is the only one worthy to reign, this is your inheritance.
Let me see if I can summarize some of this, Rudy.
Yeah.
And let me just say, if this is complicated, it is complicated. So, just thank you for listening. Let's talk about it. First of all, this is about the temple in Jerusalem. And one of the things Rudy pointed out is that Jerusalem was small, in a small country, out of the way. It has become big on the national scene because God's made it big. But in the span of things, it's not New York City, it's not London or some other place. It's a small capital. God uses small things. God uses people out of the way. And so if you think about your own life and you say, well, I'm a nobody and I'm a small person, blah, blah, blah. Trust me, that's who God uses. Then he talked about how this all fits into history, and he emphasized history is his story. It is God's work with us. And then there's some things we have to look forward to. We are, if I could put a star here, we are here. The next thing that we're looking for in God's deal is some end time events, which some of those are going to be really difficult to deal with. There's a war that's involved. There is tremendous grief on the earth. And then that is going to be followed by, can I put the 1,000-year reign?
Yeah.
So there's a 1,000-year reign. If you do the math, the next thing that comes up, the new heaven and earth, if you do the math, that is the 8th day, right?
Correct.
All right? And we'll get into this 8th day the more we talk about this, but this all fits with what God has been doing throughout all history. And Rudy's written a book on the number 8 and how that fits. And, Rudy studies the Bible a whole lot, and I study the Bible and I read other authors. Interesting, John Oswald talks about the 8th day too, which is kind of fun to get a little confirmation in there. Bottom line for us as we end this up is that this is what we have to look forward to, and the greatest thing that God has to give to us is a relationship with Him. The temple was built to relate to God. The Holy of Holies was given to relate to God. This new heaven and new earth, if God isn't there, it's not heaven. It's the opposite. It's hell. And so today we can live in that relationship with Him and enjoy that.
True. And for me, if you see the temple as a picture of the new heavens and new earth, right, it begins to make more sense.
Right. Good deal. Hey, thanks so much for being with us. God bless you, and we'll see you tomorrow.